the goal of this talk is to tell you what we want to do in terms of AI and open source at the Eclipse Foundation. So let me introduce myself very quickly. So I'm Gael Blondelle. I'm the VP Ecosystem Development of the Eclipse Foundation and also managing the European activities of the Eclipse Foundation. I have been involved in open source for more than 15 years on different aspects. So I started as a founder of a startup building open source Java middleware. Then I was managing a European project with large organizations in Europe about embedded systems and stuff like that. So that was the OP's project, where I was working with Airbus, Thales, CA, Ericsson, and other companies. And finally, since 2013, I'm part of the staff of the Eclipse Foundation. And at some point, you know, every year at the beginning of the year, you try to do some kind of introspection and think about your goals and your missions and stuff like that. And at some point, I realized that, okay, my personal mission, as I see it, is to help more companies or more organizations do more open source. Because the more open source, the better the world and the easier the innovation and etc. So that's really what drives me in my everyday job. And yeah, I hope we can do more open source together. So you certainly heard about Eclipse thanks to the famous Eclipse IDE. And I will not talk about the Eclipse IDE, but yes, the Eclipse Foundation is the proud steward of the Eclipse IDE community. But please, please, please believe me that there is much more than that at the Eclipse Foundation. We have almost 400 projects. We work with more than 300 organizations, and we are one of the well-recognized open source umbrella organizations. And you can see on this slide that we estimate that over the years, in the last 16 years since the creation of the foundation in 2004, all the work that has been done on Eclipse projects represents a shared investment of 13 billion euros. So my first message is that don't think that the Eclipse Foundation is only the place where people are working on the Eclipse IDE. There's much more than that. With so many projects, we had to define several focus areas, and this is our current focus areas. We have cloud native Java with the move of Java Enterprise Edition in open source to the Eclipse Foundation as with the renaming as Jakarta Enterprise Edition. We are the leading open source community in IoT and edge computing. And I think that we'll come back to that, but that's also something that definitely relates to AI. We have collaborations with most of automotive OEMs on open source projects that are useful and important for automotive. And in terms of tools, we have the Eclipse IDE, but we have also new initiatives about cloud native development tools. So that's for the current situation. And I think that we have a very specific approach to doing open source at the Eclipse Foundation. Our approach is to be the platform for open innovation and collaboration. I would say that we are a very good mix between the approach of the Apache Foundation and the Linux Foundation. We want to be developer friendly, community driven, and we strongly support developers. And we are also corporate friendly. We are strong supporters of business friendly open source. And before entering into details, I would like to say something that is important to me. That there's some of you may think that they only need to push code on GitHub or GitLab or another collaboration infrastructure provider in order to do proper open source. But let's spend just 2 minutes to illustrate the role of open source foundations. The role of open source foundations is to enable sustainable, vendor neutral, and open collaboration. And I will take the Eclipse platform, the Eclipse IDE platform as an example. On the graphics on the right side of this slide, you can see the average number of contributing companies who participate to the Eclipse platform every year. And this project is a proof that community and diversity ensure sustainability. If you look at it, at the beginning, it was only an IBM project, but after 2008, 2007, 2008, you can see that every year, more than 10 companies participate to the Eclipse platform. And recently, you have an average of more than 15 different companies from all continents contributing every year to the Eclipse platform. And that ensures, this diversity ensures sustainability, because when one company decides to redirect some investment to other domains, then you can trust that the whole ecosystem is still making progress for the project. So there's working on GitHub or GitLab or Git is very good, and there are lots of there are some successful projects on those platforms, but that's just one way of doing open source. Another way is single vendor open source, and single vendor open source, what they do is that they make sure that they keep all the intellectual properties. So to some extent, they want to make sure that they have the choice to potentially not be open source at some point. And I think that's an issue. So what they bring to the table is that they do ecosystem development and marketing, but still at the risk of capturing an open source community and enforcing vendor locking. At the Eclipse Foundation, what we bring is vendor neutral governance with our policies, our processes, etc. Also predictable processes and guidance. So the Eclipse development process has been used with more than 500 projects by thousands of developers. And also the Eclipse Foundation has this business-friendly intellectual property and licensing management that I will mention in 2 minutes. And that's also one of the important topic that is at the core of what we do at Eclipse. So I just wanted to put this in perspective, that the role of open source foundations in general and the Eclipse Foundation is that we are non-profits. We are a non-profit organization whose main purpose is to ensure the diversity and sustainability of the open source projects we manage. And how does it work? So we have several strong values that are not negotiable. And those 3 values are very important. That's transparency. It means that everything that happens on an Eclipse project must be reflected on public media of the project. That includes mailing list, forum, wiki page, etc. But the goal is that somebody outside of the project can understand and follow what's happening in the project and what is the direction of the project. Openness means that everybody can collaborate in an Eclipse project. That's very important, especially in our context where we offer the framework for competitors to collaborate together. So openness means that an Eclipse project team cannot reject a potential committer because they work for a competitor. That openness comes with meritocracy, which means that everybody needs to demonstrate publicly that they have the capabilities to participate to a project. But when you demonstrate publicly as a contributor with your badge, with your contributions, that you have some good added value to the project, then you can be and you should be elected as a committer by the existing committers. So that's the three core principles of what we do at Eclipse. Few words about business-friendly ecosystems and how we envision our role in that. So we provide several services. So there is infrastructure, governance and process, and community development, and also the licensing, IP management and licensing aspects. And everything, all our processes and governance is there to ensure that organizations, including competitors, can collaborate on open source platforms. But also, and that's important, that those open source platforms can be used for any kind of commercial exploitation. So we enforce and we foster collaboration on open source platforms that can be the underlying framework for commercial products or professional services or things like that. 10 years ago, we created something that we call Eclipse Working Groups. That Eclipse Working Groups, the goal is that that's like a foundation in a box with the capability to extend the existing Eclipse governance. So we still stick to the core values of transparency, openness, and meritocracy. And we provide the policies you need for vendor neutrality. We have an antitrust policy and this kind of useful collaboration aspects. But beyond that, Eclipse working groups can extend what an Eclipse project can do. Especially, I would like to mention two specific approaches, which is the definition of open specifications. So that's how do you define an open specification that could become a de facto standard in the industry with open collaboration means, and then how do you ensure that the usage of this open specification comes with mandatory compliance, etc. And also lots of working groups are doing specific marketing activities. So in the next 3 to 5 minutes, I would like to also talk about something which was a big news for us, and I hope for you. So you may have heard that the Eclipse Foundation, we announced in May that we become a European-based organization. So we are creating Eclipse Foundation, AIAS Gael. That's an international non-profit association based in Brussels. And knowing that the Eclipse Foundation is already the largest open source organization in Europe, and with this move, we will be the de facto global open source organization based in Europe. So we don't want to restrict our activities to Europe. We are a global open source organization. We have this international reach and reputation. But we will be the only umbrella open source organization of this size and reputation to be based in Europe. And doing that, we want to be proactive in addressing some of the important topics that are discussed in Europe these days. That means we have a strategy to be proactive in artificial intelligence, in cloud, in open hardware, and more. And that's why we invited you to this meeting today, because artificial intelligence becomes an important topic for us, and we want to help the ecosystem to bring more AI projects under the vendor-neutral governance of the Eclipse Foundation. Remember the transparency, openness, and meritocracy. I think that they are very important for artificial intelligence. And I think that in the context of working groups, we should also start thinking about how to address the security aspect, privacy aspect, and ethical aspect of AI, of open source AI. And that's something that on which we want to help. Finally, here is we already have some good and interesting projects and initiatives around AI at the Eclipse Foundation. So here is a current list of those projects. Deep Learning 4J, Adam Gibson, the CTO of Conduit, will give you a presentation later this morning, so I will not enter into details. But that's certainly one of our main AI project for the moment. We are also the leading open source community in IoT and edge computing, and there's no doubt that edge computing and AI will make some part of the way together. OpenGenesis is our working group in the automotive domain about certification of AI in automotive. The goal of OpenGenesis is to define methods and tools to ensure that all the AI technologies that we put in advanced systems in automotive can be certified and safely used in our day-to-day life. Finally, we are involved as a European organization. We are involved in the European robotics ecosystem, and we are building partnerships with the European artificial intelligence ecosystem. So that's why we organized this webinar today, and why we want to organize the next one very soon, because September is almost tomorrow, given the summer break. And that's, yeah, I'm very, I wanted to thank you for attending, and I hope that you will hear and see very interesting presentations this morning. Thank you very much. And don't forget, if you want to bring a project or discuss more about what I presented in the last few minutes, feel free to contact me directly. I'm easy to find. You have all my personal data on this slide. Thank you.